Hello, Dreadwood. It's Arthur here, writer and creator of this little show. I just want to jump on here and tell you that we have some merch available now, which you can find at our website, deepwoodproductions.com. Right now, we have our logo that you can get on different merchandise, wearable and non-wearable items, and that logo is designed by our very own Aaron Hines. So if you like the podcast and you'd like to wear the podcast, you can find all that stuff at deepwoodproductions.com. And yeah, that's all I've got. So enjoy the episode, and I will see you at the end credits.
I don't know how these things are supposed to go. I follow the instructions that are written on a blood-soaked paper on the desk. Come in and sit down. Press the red button. Then go meet your maker. I should introduce myself. Yeah. Okay. My name is Foxglove Bluebell. I am the eldest child in the Bluebell family and was next to inherit the gun manufacturing business. I am here tonight for many, many reasons. One being that I fear I have lost my mind. Everywhere I go, I keep seeing this black cat. It's a fluffy little thing with bright yellow eyes. It looks like a little soot gremlin. Every time I see the cat, it meows at me. It doesn't meow like other cats. No, it's barely a meow and more of a gruff little yip. God, I sound insane. Absolutely, positively off my freaking rocker. You know, whatever. I don't care. This cat shows up to me when bad things happen. Its little fluffy form will just appear, and it'll sit down and look up at me and yip that gravelly little sound. It has happened so many times. When Claire died, and then when I saw the person with the bomb. You are going to think I'm crazy, and I don't really know why I am trying to prove to you I'm not really. I have a legacy to protect, I suppose. It was at a ball. I saw the little black cat at a ball that my family was throwing. This was one of many, but this was one of the first after the death of Claire. Mother wasn't too upset about my sister being dead. Well, she didn't show it at face value by any means. We had been through our mourning stages of black clothes and no public appearances, so it was time to change that. We all bought dresses with light colors and got our makeup and hair all fixed. Right before I went down to the ball, I saw that little cat sitting at my windowsill. I almost let out a cry. The thing looked at me with a crooked head. No, I couldn't let anything happen tonight. Not to be too frank, but I'd be personally damned if I let anything happen tonight that was out of the ordinary. I closed the curtain and let that little cat sit outside as if I couldn't see it. So that meant I never saw it. The night went on as they did. The chandeliers in the giant mansion sparkled, and the music was gentle. It was almost a dream. Things were back to normal. At least, that's what I thought. I took a glass of champagne from a small server. They were young. Very young. They had a green mullet and shaved off eyebrows. I didn't think their look was exactly appropriate for the affair that night, but I was going to talk to the head of the waitstaff about that the next day. I brought the glass to my lips and something was off. The drink smelled sour and acidic. I went to take a sip and I immediately spit it out. It was as if my tongue was on fire, as my body literally rejected the fluid. My body stilled. Lighter fluid. That's what was in the glass. It was hearing first. A loud yell of a woman. Gunshots rang out first, and then an explosion. Screams. I had fallen to the ground, and my ears rang with white static. I barely had time to prop myself up on my forearms to witness the scene and attempt to stop myself from getting trampled. I think I was crying. The kid with the hair had thrown the tray of lighter fluid champagne onto an ice sculpture. The sculpture was of a swan. I hadn't paid much attention to it, but there must have been something in it that reacted to that liquid. The kid vanished, and I saw his shadow running skyward. However, this was a woman, and she was running as nimble as a cat up to where my horrified mother and sister sat. She dodged every guard trying to stop her. She either dodged them or they were shot down by a man in an entirely black suit and long hair that was tied back. Weapons weren't allowed. We checked everyone. I do not know how he slipped a revolver past security. The woman leapt onto my mother's shoulders and kept her in a chokehold with her legs. She put a knife to her throat as the man caught up, gun drawn to the crowd, completely daring them to make another move. He was smirking the whole time. The woman's red dress was draped over my mother's shoulders, and her exposed legs were strong enough that my mother couldn't move. She whispered something into my mother's ear. My mother laughed. Then the lights blew and screams rang out. Then in a couple of seconds, the lights switched back on, and my mother was left sitting on the ground. The sight is something I will never get out of my mind. A knife jutted out through her head, and her hand was quickly sawed off. I threw up on the floor.
Dreadwood Press Radio is a podcast written by Arthur Edwards and produced by Deepwood Productions. In this episode, the role of Foxglove was performed by Raine Palmer. This week's musical guest is Mara Noodle. If you'd like to follow Dreadwood on the web, you can find us over on Twitter at Radio Dreadwood or Instagram at Dreadwood Press Radio. You can also visit our website, deepwoodproductions.com. If you like the podcast and you'd like to support us, you can also find us over on Patreon at Deepwood Productions. Thanks so much for listening, and hey, stay safe out there. Until next time.
Just when I was leveling my feet again, just when I was making peace with loneliness, just when when I was accepting this for what it is. Just when I was steadying my breath again. Just when I was learning to love myself. Just when I was finding peace and moving out of. You rolling with that long skirt on, singing on stage in the summertime. So I'll lose my head with this one. I'm already tripping over all my thoughts, tripping over all my thoughts. You rolling with that long skirt on, singing on stage in the summertime. Swear I won't lose my head with this one. Already tripping over all my thoughts, 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 tripping